Welcome to X-Mystic Murmurs, where we delve into the shadows of what if and the chilling whispers of the unknown. Today, we are unleashing a story that will grab you by the throat and refuse to let go. A tale of a ticking clock, a rogue scientist, and a virus that could erase us all. If you're ready to dive into the heart-pounding world of the 11th Hour Protocol, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and prepare for a series that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
Scene opens on a dimly lit laboratory. Flickering fluorescent lights casting long shadows that dance like spectral figures across cracked linoleum. The air hangs heavy with the metallic tang of old equipment and the faint, unsettling scent of sterilant. Dr. Aris Thorne, mid-40s, his normally sharp features now etched deep with lines of exhaustion and a profound weariness, stares intently at a microscope slide. His eyes, once bright with scientific curiosity, are now bloodshot and shadowed, reflecting the countless sleepless nights he's endured. His lab coat, once pristine, is rumpled and stained, a testament to the obsessive, frantic work that has consumed him. Bottles of an antiviral compound, meticulously labeled but stacked precariously, form a small, fragile fortress on a nearby counter, a silent monument to his desperate efforts. Dr. Aris Thorne, once a rising star at the Centers for Disease Control, a name whispered with reverence in scientific circles for his groundbreaking research, now found himself a pariah. His very name, once synonymous with innovation and hope, was now uttered with accusations of recklessness, of a catastrophic oversight that had nearly led to a global pandemic. The irony, bitter and sharp as broken glass, was that he, the one ostracized and discredited, was the only one who truly understood the monstrous threat still lurking in the shadows, unseen by the world that condemned him. A sharp, insistent knock on the door, sudden and jarring in the oppressive silence, makes Aris flinch violently. His shoulders tense, and he quickly, almost instinctively, slides a protective cover over the microscope, as if shielding a fragile secret from prying eyes. The heavy, unyielding door slowly creaks open, revealing the imposing figure of Agent Valerius Reed, early 50s, impeccably dressed in a dark suit that seemed too formal for the grim surroundings. His face is a mask of impassivity, his expression utterly unreadable, but his eyes, sharp and observant, miss nothing. They sweep over the disarray of the lab, lingering for a fraction of a second on the covered microscope, before settling on Aris with an unnerving intensity. A sharp, insistent knock on the door, sudden and jarring in the oppressive silence, makes Aris flinch violently. His shoulders tense, and he quickly, almost instinctively, slides a protective cover over the microscope, as if shielding a fragile secret from prying eyes. The heavy, unyielding door slowly creaks open, revealing the imposing figure of Agent Valerius Reed, early 50s, impeccably dressed in a dark suit that seemed too formal for the grim surroundings. His face is a mask of impassivity, his expression utterly unreadable, but his eyes, sharp and observant, miss nothing. They sweep over the disarray of the lab, lingering for a fraction of a second on the covered microscope, before settling on Aris with an unnerving intensity.
Thorne, still playing God in your little hideaway, I see. His voice is a low, controlled baritone, devoid of warmth, yet carrying an underlying edge of authority that sends a shiver down Aris's spine. His voice is raspy, strained, as if pushed through a throat raw from lack of sleep and too much desperation. It's laced with fatigue, but also a defiant bitterness. Agent Reed,
To what do I owe the displeasure? Or have you finally realized your containment was a sham? His eyes, though weary, hold a spark of challenge, a flicker of the scientist who refused to be silenced. A muscle twitches almost imperceptibly in his jaw, the only outward sign of annoyance. He steps further into the room, his gaze sweeping over the chaotic lab with an air of distaste, as if surveying a squalid crime scene. The Council has expressed concerns about your recent activities. Whispers of a new project, Thorne. Something outside protocol. His tone is deliberate, each word measured, designed to exert pressure. A dry, humorless laugh escapes him, a sound devoid of mirth, bordering on a scoff. He rubs at his tired eyes, then looks squarely at Reed, a weary contempt in his gaze. Protocol? Your protocol nearly got millions killed. I'm doing what you should be doing, finding a way to stop this nightmare before it becomes a reality. His voice rises slightly, a hint of exasperation and righteous anger breaking through his exhaustion. His hand gestures vaguely at the equipment, the bottles, the very air of frantic research that permeates the room. His gaze hardens, becoming a cold, unwavering stare, fixed intently on the still-covered microscope slide, as if he can sense the secrets hidden beneath it. What is that? His voice drops a fraction, becoming more inquisitive, more demanding. A dry, humorless laugh escapes him, a sound devoid of mirth, bordering on a scoff. He rubs at his tired eyes, then looks squarely at Reed, a weary contempt in his gaze. Protocol. Your protocol nearly got millions killed. I'm doing what you should be doing, finding a way to stop this nightmare before it becomes a reality. His voice rises slightly, a hint of exasperation and righteous anger breaking through his exhaustion. His hand gestures vaguely at the equipment, the bottles, the very air of frantic research that permeates the room. His gaze hardens, becoming a cold, unwavering stare, fixed intently on the still-covered microscope slide, as if he can sense the secrets hidden beneath it. What is that? His voice drops a fraction, becoming more inquisitive, more demanding. He hesitates for a moment, a flicker of defiance crossing his face, a defiant choice between self-preservation and desperate truth. His shoulders square slightly. The truth. He pauses, letting the word hang in the air, heavy with unspoken weight. The original virus agent. It wasn't contained. It was modified, and it's still out there. His voice is low, urgent, a desperate plea for understanding hidden beneath the stark facts. His eyes are wide, conveying the terrifying reality he's discovered.
Reed's eyes narrow perceptibly, a subtle shift that speaks volumes. He takes a step closer, invading Aris's personal space, his imposing presence looming. His voice drops to a low, menacing tone, almost a whisper, yet infused with undeniable power, making Aris feel a cold dread creep up his spine. You're grasping at straws, Thorne. Your reputation is in tatters. No one believes you. His words are designed to crush, to diminish, to make Aris doubt his own sanity. His lips barely move, but the threat is palpable.
His eyes burn with a desperate intensity, reflecting the feverish conviction that has sustained him through everything. He takes a small step back, holding Reed's gaze, refusing to break contact. His voice, though still raspy, gains a new, urgent tremor, raw with the weight of his terrifying discovery. They will believe me when the city starts dropping like flies. There's a hidden timer, Reed, a countdown to an irreversible release. I don't know where, I don't know when exactly, but it's coming, and I'm the only one who can stop it. His hand unconsciously clenches into a fist, as if grasping on to the last shred of hope. The silence in the laboratory stretches, becoming a palpable entity, heavy with unspoken threats and a chilling premonition of the impending disaster that only one man seemed to see. The stale air crackles with the unspoken tension between them, a silent battle of wills on the eve of a catastrophe. The air crackled with unspoken tension, thick with the weight of an unimaginable secret. Aris Thorne, branded a disgraced scientist, an outcast stripped of his credibility, held a terrifying truth, a ticking clock that no one else believed. His desperation was palpable, his conviction unwavering, even as the world dismissed him as a madman. But as the shadows deepened around him and the first faint tremors of an unseen apocalypse began to rumble, the question remained: could he convince the world of the impending doom before it was too late? Join us next time on X Mystic Murmurs as the clock ticks closer to the 11th Hour Protocol. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and tell us in the comments what you think will happen next.
The scene opens in the chaotic heart of a bustling, rain-slicked city street. The neon glow from towering billboards reflect off the wet asphalt, distorting into shimmering puddles that mirror the distorted reality Aris now inhabits. Aris, clad in a worn trench coat that seems to absorb the oppressive humidity and a baseball cap pulled low, is a ghost in the crowd. His posture is hunched, his gaze constantly shifting, searching, paranoid. He moves with a quick, almost furtive urgency, his steps light and rapid, as if trying to outrun an unseen predator. In his hand, he clutches a discreet, older model smartphone, its unassuming facade hiding the desperate search for answers within. With Agent Reed's veiled threats still echoing in his ears like a chilling prophecy, Aris knew he had to act alone. The official channels were compromised. The very system he once served now turned against him. His only allies were the scattered, coded notes from his former research partner, Dr. Lena Petrova, a brilliant mind who had vanished months ago, leaving behind only fragments of a terrifying truth. Lena, fiercely independent and possessing an uncanny intuition, had been the first to suspect the virus's true malevolent nature, the first to see beyond the official narrative. Her ghost, her legacy, was Aris's desperate lifeline. Aris ducks into a grimy internet cafe, a haven of flickering monitors and the acrid smell of stale coffee. The air is thick with the low hum of ancient computers and the clatter of keyboards. He chooses a secluded terminal in the back, his movements economical and practiced. His fingers fly across the keyboard, a blur of motion as he navigates through layers of encryption, accessing Lena's meticulously hidden files. His brow is furrowed deep in concentration, a vein throbbing faintly at his temple, every muscle in his face taut with the immense pressure he's under.
On the screen, fragmented data begins to populate. Dense biological markers, unsettlingly unusual genetic sequences, and then a recurring, ominous symbol. A stylized double helix intertwined with an X. A silent, chilling signature of something profound and dangerous. Aris ducks into a grimy internet cafe, a haven of flickering monitors and the acrid smell of stale coffee. The air is thick with the low hum of ancient computers and the clatter of keyboards. He chooses a secluded terminal in the back, his movements economical and practiced. His fingers fly across the keyboard, a blur of motion as he navigates through layers of encryption, accessing Lena's meticulously hidden files. His brow is furrowed deep in concentration, a vein throbbing faintly at his temple, every muscle in his face taut with the immense pressure he's under. On the screen, fragmented data begins to populate. Dense biological markers, unsettlingly unusual genetic sequences, and then a recurring, ominous symbol. A stylized double helix, intertwined with an X. A silent, chilling signature of something profound and dangerous.
Muttering to himself, his voice a low, hoarse whisper, a mixture of frustration at the complexity of the code. Genesis. What were you working on, Lena? What did you find? His eyes scan the data, searching for a pattern, a key, anything that makes sense of the nightmare unfolding around him. Suddenly, the cafe's fluorescent lights flicker violently, plunging the room into momentary gloom before blazing back, brighter than before. Aris's head snaps up sharply, his entire body tensing like a coiled spring. His hand instinctively goes to his pocket, fingers brushing against the cold metal of his phone. In the doorway, silhouetted against the bustling streetlights outside, stands a shadowy figure, tall and powerfully built, an unnerving stillness about him. Aris's eyes narrow, a flicker of primal fear mixed with dawning recognition crossing his weary face. It's too specific, too sudden. His voice is barely a whisper, laced with a chilling realization. No, not here. His heart begins to pound a frantic rhythm against his ribs. He scrambles to shut down the computer, his fingers fumbling in his haste, a desperate race against the inevitable. But it's too late. The figure, now stepping fully into the cafe's harsh light, is revealed to be a cold-faced operative, his features chiseled and devoid of emotion. A small, almost imperceptible earpiece nestled in his ear is the only hint of the vast, unseen network he represents. He advances with a predatory grace, his footsteps soft yet purposeful. Around them, the other patrons in the cafe, sensing the abrupt shift in atmosphere, the sudden chill in the air, begin to stir uneasily, their casual conversations dying down to whispers. "Dr. Thorne, a pleasure to find you so engaged." His voice is flat, devoid of inflection, yet carries a subtle, menacing undertone, like the purr of a dangerous predator. His eyes are cold, assessing, missing nothing. His voice is tight, forced into a semblance of feigned nonchalance, though his heart pounds like a drum against his ribs. He forces a strained smile that doesn't reach his eyes. "Just catching up on cat videos?" He gestures vaguely at the monitor, trying to appear innocuous. "What can I do for you, Agent? Or are you here to finally apologize for ruining my life?" He tries to inject a sarcastic bite, a desperate attempt to regain some control, some normalcy. A faint, chilling smile plays on his lips, a mere twitch that barely disturbs the severe line of his mouth. It's a smile devoid of humor, more a predator's acknowledgement.
We believe you have something that belongs to us. Data, research, Dr. Petrova's legacy. His gaze is fixed on Aris, unwavering, expectant.
His heart pounds an even faster, frantic rhythm, threatening to burst from his chest. But he forces his face to remain neutral, a mask of practiced indifference. He shrugs casually, though his muscles are screaming with tension. Petrova? Haven't seen her since she ran off with a grant from some shady biotech firm. He tries to sound dismissive, to portray ignorance, but his eyes betray a flicker of fear. The operative takes another slow, deliberate step, closing the distance between them, his eyes sweeping the cafe with practiced efficiency, clearly searching for something, a hidden device, a backup drive. Aris, with a subtle, almost imperceptible movement, slides his phone deeper into his pocket, his hand hovering over the send button, a desperate final resort. He can feel the heat of the operative's stare, a palpable weight on him. Don't play games, Thorne. We know about Project Genesis, and we know you've been trying to decrypt Petrova's last transmissions. His voice lowers, becoming more direct, more threatening. He knows. This is it. A desperate gamble, a last-ditch effort. He locks eyes with the operative, a hint of defiance hardening his gaze, a glint of the fire that still burns within him. He takes a deep breath, preparing to bluff. Genesis is a ghost story, and even if it wasn't, you're looking for the wrong person. The real architects are still out there, hiding in plain sight. He tries to deflect, to sow doubt, to buy a single precious second. The operative pauses, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes, a momentary hesitation, perhaps a sliver of curiosity or even doubt at Aris's bold claim. Aris seizes this fleeting moment, this tiny crack in the operative's composure. His thumb presses down, hard and swift, hovering over the send button on his phone. The file he's about to transmit is tiny, almost insignificant in its size. A small, encrypted fragment of Lena's data, disguised as an old, harmless research abstract. It's a digital breadcrumb, a desperate cry for help, a final, defiant act of resistance against the encroaching darkness. Cornered and exposed, Aris Thorne was playing a dangerous game, one where the stakes were nothing less than the future of humanity. The shadows of Project Genesis, a clandestine operation shrouded in layers of secrecy, were closing in, relentless and unforgiving. The fate of his mission, and perhaps his very life, hung precariously in the balance. Would his desperate gamble pay off, sending Lena's whisper of truth out into the digital abyss? Or would he become another casualty in a silent war for humanity's future? Join us for Episode 3 of the 11th Hour Protocol, only on Mystic Murmurs. Don't forget to subscribe and leave your predictions in the comments below. The scene opens abruptly, plunging viewers into the heart of a frantic chase through the narrow, twisting, and crowded alleys of the city. The air is thick with the mingled scents of street food, exhaust fumes, and the damp earth after a recent rain. Aris, his breath coming in ragged, painful gasps, weaves desperately through a chaotic tapestry of pedestrians, overflowing market stalls, and overflowing dumpsters. His eyes dart constantly over his shoulder, wide with a mixture of exhaustion and raw panic, scanning for his pursuers. He pushes past bewildered shoppers, sending fruit tumbling from stalls, hearing shouts of indignation that are quickly drowned out by the rising crescendo of his own frantic heartbeat.
Behind him, the cold-faced operative from the cafe, a figure of relentless determination, is hot on his heels, joined now by another, equally grim and powerfully built figure, their synchronized footsteps a chilling drumbeat against the pavement. The wailing sounds of distant sirens begin to pierce the urban cacophony, growing louder, closer, adding another layer of anxiety to Aris's desperate flight. Aris, his desperate transmission, that digital breadcrumb tossed into the abyss, had bought him precious seconds. But in doing so, it had also painted a blazing target on his back. The shadowy organization, known only as Acheron, revealed itself to be far more relentless and pervasive than anything Aris had imagined. Their reach, their resources, stretched far beyond the clandestine operations he'd known within the CDC. This was a global spiderweb, and Aris was now hopelessly entangled. Aris, his lungs burning, ducks sharply into a dark doorway, a temporary haven from the relentless pursuit. He presses himself against the grimy brickwork, gasping for breath, his chest heaving. The sounds of the operative's pounding footsteps echo agonizingly close, just beyond the alley entrance. He fumbles in his pocket, pulling out his phone, its cracked screen glowing faintly. A notification is flashing, a scrambled message, almost certainly from Lena's system, a response to his desperate plea. His fingers fly across the touchscreen, a blur of frantic motion, his mind a whirlwind of scientific acumen and primal survival instinct. Aris, his lungs burning, ducks sharply into a dark doorway, a temporary haven from the relentless pursuit. He presses himself against the grimy brickwork, gasping for breath, his chest heaving. The sounds of the operative's pounding footsteps echo agonizingly close, just beyond the alley entrance. He fumbles in his pocket, pulling out his phone, its cracked screen glowing faintly. A notification is flashing, a scrambled message, almost certainly from Lena's system, a response to his desperate plea. His fingers fly across the touchscreen, a blur of frantic motion, his mind a whirlwind of scientific acumen and primal survival instinct.
Muttering to himself, his voice a frantic, desperate whisper. "Come on, Lena, give me something, anything." His eyes are fixed on the jumbled text, willing it to make sense, to yield its secrets. A thin sheen of sweat coats his face, reflecting the screen's glow. His brow furrows deeply in frustration, a muscle twitching near his temple as the message slowly, agonizingly begins to decode, revealing a long string of seemingly random numbers and letters. It looks like nonsense, a chaotic scramble, yet he knows Lena well enough to know it's deliberate. He hears the operative's footsteps getting closer, their heavy boots scuffing on the wet pavement. Their voices are harsh and guttural, terse commands barked in an unfamiliar language as they coordinate their search, sweeping the alley with terrifying efficiency. Operative 1, voice low, rough, echoing ominously. "He's nearby. Check every crevice." The sound of a heavy boot scraping against the ground suggests he's examining a dumpster just feet away. Operative 2, a more calculated, cold voice. "He can't have gone far. Secure the perimeter." The chilling efficiency of their pursuit sends a fresh wave of dread through Aris. Aris's eyes dart around frantically, scanning the cramped, shadowed space, searching for an escape route, any path out of this suffocating trap. His gaze lands on a rickety fire escape, its rusted metal steps ascending into the gloom. It's a gamble, precarious and exposed, but his only option. As he works on the code, a pattern slowly, painstakingly begins to emerge amidst the jumbled characters. A series of geographical coordinates, but distorted, as if intentionally passed through a complex cipher, a key hidden within Lena's unique scientific mind.
A sharp gasp of realization escapes him, a sound of sudden, profound insight. His eyes widen, fixed on the screen as the pieces click into place. A frequency! She embedded it in a broadcast. Clever, Lena. So clever. A flicker of admiration, of awe for his brilliant lost colleague crosses his face, even in the face of imminent capture. She had always been one step ahead. He quickly types a few more commands, his fingers flying with renewed purpose, driven by this breakthrough. The numbers on the screen shift, morphing into a more coherent address, an abandoned research facility on the city's outskirts. It's old, rumored to be haunted, a perfect place to hide. Just as he gets the last of it, the operatives burst into the alley, their shadows lengthening menacingly in the dim light. Aris, reacting on pure instinct, shoves his phone deep into his pocket and scrambles onto the lowest rung of the fire escape, narrowly avoiding a desperate lunge from the first operative, whose fingers brush against the fabric of his coat.
The scene opens with a chilling sense of isolation and decay inside the derelict research facility. Dust motes, like tiny ethereal dancers, drift lazily through the shafts of weak moonlight that filter through broken, grimy windows, casting long, distorted shadows that writhe on the crumbling walls. The air is thick and stagnant, heavy with the scent of decay, damp concrete, and something else. A faint chemical tang that hints at past experiments. Aris, his face streaked with grime and sweat, his eyes wide and wary, navigates the labyrinthine corridors. His phone's flashlight beam is a fragile, bobbing beacon, cutting a narrow path through the oppressive gloom, each step echoing eerily in the silence. Lena's cryptic message, a lifeline thrown across a vast chasm of unknown threats, had led Aris to this forgotten place. This facility, abandoned and left to rot, was shrouded in a past that hinted at dark experiments and unspoken horrors. A place where the boundaries of ethics had undoubtedly been blurred, perhaps even shattered. Every creak of the warped floorboards beneath his worn shoes, every whisper of the cold wind whistling through shattered panes, sent shivers down his spine, amplifying the immense weight of his desperate, solitary mission. He was a lone explorer in a tomb of scientific hubris. Aris, following Lena's meticulously coded instructions, moves with a purposeful intensity. He finally stops before a section of crumbling wall, his flashlight beam revealing a hidden access panel almost entirely obscured by moss and fallen debris. He begins to struggle with the rusted mechanism, its ancient hinges groaning in protest. His frustration grows with each failed attempt, a low growl escaping his lips as he tugs and pries with all his might. The desperation in his eyes is palpable, a silent plea to the unyielding metal. Suddenly, his breath hitches in his throat, a sharp, involuntary gasp. From deep within the facility, he hears it. A distant, metallic clang. A sound too deliberate, too heavy to be just the wind. It's a chilling confirmation, a sign that Acheron's operatives were already inside, their relentless pursuit closing in. Whispering, his voice laced with urgency and a rising panic. "Come on, come on!" He redoubles his efforts, his muscles straining, his face contorted with exertion. The thought of being caught, of Lena's sacrifice being in vain, spurs him on. With a final, strained grunt, a desperate surge of adrenaline, the panel gives way with a screech of rusted metal.
It swings open, revealing a narrow, descending stairwell plunging into absolute darkness. Aris doesn't hesitate. He quickly slips inside, his movements fluid despite his exhaustion, pulling the heavy panel shut behind him with a thud that echoes ominously. The instant darkness is absolute, suffocating, a chilling embrace that plunges him into complete, disorienting blackness, only broken by the faint glow of his phone. He descends, step by agonizing step, the air growing colder, heavier, pressing in on him, laden with the smell of old dust and stagnant dampness. The descent feels endless, each step taking him deeper into the facility's hidden core. At the bottom, his flashlight beam falls upon a heavily reinforced door, thick and unyielding, a vault meant to contain secrets. On its grimy surface, etched into the accumulated filth, is the ominous symbol he saw in Lena's files. The stylized double helix intertwined with an X, the Genesis symbol. His heart pounds in his chest, a frantic drum against his ribs. He enters Lena's complex password, a dizzying series of seemingly random scientific terms and deeply personal dates, a tribute to their shared past, a code only he would know. With a soft, mechanical hiss, the heavy door unlocks, swinging inward to reveal what lies beyond. Inside, the air is stagnant and cold, yet surprisingly, the room is a small, pristine laboratory, somehow miraculously preserved from the decay that consumes the rest of the facility. It's as if time itself had paused within these sterile walls. On a central console, a holographic projector hums to life, casting an ethereal glow. Complex biological models and intricate mathematical equations swirling in 3 dimensions materialize in the air above it, Lena's genius evident even in her absence. On a separate screen, a video file begins to play. Lena Petrova, looking disheveled but utterly resolute, her normally vibrant eyes now wide with a desperate urgency, appears on the screen, a ghostly figure in the dim light. Her voice is strained but determined, each word carrying the weight of a terrible burden. Her eyes, filled with a desperate urgency, dart nervously around as if she expects to be discovered, even on the recording, a phantom fear haunting her final message. Aris, if you're seeing this, it means I failed. They were too close. Project Genesis. Her voice trembles slightly, then hardens with a chilling revelation. It's not what we thought. It's a weapon. A targeted bioweapon, engineered for population control. Aris stares at the screen, his face pale as ash, a chilling blend of shock and dawning horror washing over him. The implications of Lena's words are staggering, crushing the last vestiges of his hope. Population control. The phrase rings like a death knell in his ears, revealing the true, monstrous scope of Acheron's depravity. Her voice cracks with raw emotion, a desperate plea reaching out from beyond her silence. Her eyes dart nervously to the sides, a subtle sign of the terror she lived with, a haunting fear of discovery that still clings to the recording. The timer, Aris, they've embedded it in the strain, a specific genetic marker linked to a central activator. Once triggered, the viral load will skyrocket, leading to rapid, irreversible, systemic failure. They're planning to unleash it in major city name. Soon. Her words hang in the air, a terrifying prophecy, sealing the fate of millions. Suddenly, the hum of the video projector flickers violently, the holographic images wavering as if struggling to stay present. A distant, heavy thud echoes through the facility, closer this time, shaking the very foundations. Aris's head snaps up, his eyes darting frantically towards the reinforced door, his heart leaping into his throat. The sound of footsteps, heavy and deliberate, grows louder, clearer, approaching the lab with an unnerving inevitability. They found him, whispering, his voice laced with profound dread, a single word escaping his lips. They found me. His gaze is fixed on the door, a chilling certainty settling over him. He's out of time.
The scene opens with Aris, his hands a blur of motion, frantically copying Lena's vital data onto a small, encrypted drive. The faint, ethereal glow from the holographic projector still illuminates Lena's face, a ghostly image of desperate urgency and raw courage, frozen in time. The air in the pristine lab, once a sanctuary of science, now pulses with a terrifying tension. The heavy thudding of Acheron's operatives echoes through the facility's decaying structure, each impact resonating deeper, growing louder, closer, like the relentless approach of an unstoppable force. Aris's eyes dart nervously between the progress bar on the console and the reinforced door, his jaw clenched so tight it aches. With Lena's harrowing confession still ringing in his ears, the chilling revelation of a targeted bioweapon designed for population control, Aris knew his time was running out. This virus, a sinister evolution of the threat he'd once fought to contain, was far more insidious than he could have ever imagined. Its release was not just imminent, it felt inevitable, a terrifying countdown to global devastation that only he seemed capable of halting. Aris's breath hitches in his throat as the data transfer completes. He rips the small data drive from the console just as the reinforced door to the lab groans under a powerful impact, a deep, splintering sound that speaks of immense force. He scrambles, his movements propelled by pure adrenaline, for a hidden exit Lena had briefly mentioned in her message, a contingency, a last desperate escape route for unforeseen circumstances. He spots a ventilation shaft, barely wide enough for a person, its grimy grate almost invisible against the shadowed wall. With a surge of adrenaline-fueled strength, he quickly kicks a few rusted screws loose and shoves the heavy panel aside, revealing a dark, claustrophobic tunnel. Gritting his teeth, his voice a strained whisper as he pants with effort. Almost there. His eyes are wide with a desperate resolve, his body screaming for rest, but his mind focused solely on escape. Just as he's about to slide into the shaft, a cataclysmic crash shatters the tense silence. The reinforced door bursts open, wood and metal splintering inwards with terrifying force. Agent Reed stands framed in the doorway, his impeccably tailored suit a stark contrast to the dust and debris. His face is grim, unyielding, etched with a chilling disappointment that cuts Aris deeper than any threat. He's flanked by two Acheron operatives, their faces expressionless, their weapons already raised. Reed's eyes sweep the lab, taking in the scene, the exposed console, the scattered research, and finally settling on the still projecting holographic image of Lena. Her desperate plea a silent testament to the truth. His voice is low, carefully controlled, yet laced with a profound, almost personal disappointment. Thorne, I warned you. His gaze is steady, unwavering, a blend of accusation and a strange, cold sadness. His eyes lock with Reed's, a defiant glint sparking in their tired depths, refusing to back down. His voice, though still raspy from exertion, carries a newfound strength, fueled by anger. You warned me?
A short, incredulous laugh escapes him, devoid of humor. You were complicit in this? You let them create a doomsday device. He gestures wildly at the holographic projections, his outrage palpable. His gaze hardens, the cold mask of control slipping back into place. His voice drops, becoming more authoritative, more distant. You don't understand the larger picture, Thorne. Some sacrifices are necessary for global stability. He sounds like he's reciting a creed, a justification for unspeakable acts. A sneer twists his lips, a bitter, disgusted expression. His eyes burn with contempt. Sacrifices? You mean mass murder? His voice rises, his anger boiling over. Lena gave me everything. I have the activator's code, and I'm going to stop you. He holds up the small encrypted drive, a defiant symbol of his victory, however fleeting. Reed's eyes widen infinitesimally, a tiny flicker of surprise, then something akin to alarm. His impassive facade cracks for a fleeting second. He takes a step forward, his hand instinctively going to his holstered weapon, his posture tensing. The Acheron operatives, sensing the shift, ready their own firearms, the metallic clicks echoing ominously in the suddenly suffocating silence. His voice rising in urgency, a desperate edge now discernible beneath his controlled demeanor. Don't be a fool, Thorne. That information is highly classified. You have no idea what you're dealing with. He sounds genuinely desperate to prevent Aris from making a fatal move. He doesn't waste another second. With a final, explosive burst of energy, he slides headfirst into the ventilation shaft, the tight space barely accommodating him. His voice echoes from within, muffled but clear, filled with righteous fury and unwavering determination. I'm dealing with terrorists, Reed, and the world needs to know. His words are a gauntlet thrown down, a challenge to Acheron's dark secrecy. The Acheron operatives, recovering from their surprise, begin to fire into the shaft, the bullets ricocheting off the metal with a frantic metallic chorus. Sparks fly, showering the dark tunnel, but Aris is already scrambling away, his body scraping against the rough metal, driven by a singular purpose. Reed stands frozen for a moment, his gaze fixed on the still projecting holographic image of Lena, a conflicted expression clouding his face, a brief, unsettling glimpse of the man beneath the mask, a hint of his own moral struggle. Then his face hardens once more. He turns to his operatives, his voice sharp and urgent. Voice sharp, urgent, barking commands. He has the drive. Retrieve it. He cannot reach a public network. Cut off all comms in the sector. His eyes are cold, focused now, the brief moment of hesitation gone, replaced by ruthless efficiency. The priority is clear. Silence Aris, no matter the cost.
The scene opens with a jarring immediacy. Aris, bruised and disheveled, his worn trench coat caked with grime, emerges from a steaming manhole cover onto a deserted city street. The pre-dawn light paints the sky in bruised purples and grays, casting long, distorted shadows that seem to twist and writhe. He pulls himself out, coughing, the stench of stagnant water and decaying infrastructure clinging to him. He clutches the small, encrypted drive tightly in one hand, a lifeline in his desperate quest. With the other, he raises his cracked but still functional smartphone. Its screen glows ominously, displaying a rapidly decreasing timer.
A chilling digital countdown of Lena's activator code, ticking down to the moment of catastrophic release. Aris was now a digital ghost, stripped of his name, his reputation, his very identity. He moved through the city's underbelly, a phantom hunted by an unseen enemy, every shadow a potential threat, every distant siren a spike of dread. The hidden timer, an insidious countdown to annihilation, amplified the crushing urgency of his quest. He knew, with a certainty that chilled him to the bone, that he couldn't go to the authorities. Acheron's influence reached too far, too deep into the very fabric of society. His only hope was to broadcast Lena's data, to unleash the terrifying truth onto a world blissfully unaware of its impending doom. Aris, driven by a desperate, frantic energy, navigates the desolate streets until he finds it. A secluded, abandoned broadcast station. Its skeletal antenna scrapes against the bruised sky, a derelict monument to a bygone era. The building itself is a ruin, windows shattered, graffiti defacing its crumbling brick. Inside, the equipment is rusty and neglected, covered in a thick layer of dust. Yet, it possesses the raw power he needs. He begins to meticulously connect his encrypted drive to the decaying infrastructure, his fingers moving with practiced efficiency despite his exhaustion, a subconscious memory of countless hours spent in labs. He mutters to himself, a desperate prayer barely audible in the cavernous silence of the station. Aris, voice strained with fatigue and the raw edge of desperation. Just a few more minutes, just enough time. His eyes, though heavy-lidded, burn with an almost feverish focus as he works, wiring connections, bypassing ancient safety protocols. As he works, the image of Agent Reed flickers unbidden in his mind. Reed's conflicted expression back in Lena's lab, his desperate plea about global stability and necessary sacrifices. Aris instinctively shakes his head, a swift, dismissive movement, pushing the thought aside. He remembers Lena's unwavering conviction, the sheer horror of her last message. There was no stability in mass genocide, only the chilling cold of absolute control. Suddenly, the static on a nearby old radio crackles violently, a jarring burst of white noise in the quiet station. A voice, heavily distorted but undeniably recognizable, breaks through the hiss. Agent Reed. He's broadcasting on a restricted channel, a secure frequency, hoping to reach Aris directly, a last-ditch effort at communication before chaos descends. His voice is urgent, ragged around the edges, with a hint of raw desperation in its tone that surprises. Thorne, you're making a grave mistake. Think of the panic, the chaos. We can contain this, but only if you cooperate. He sounds like a man teetering on the edge, desperate to maintain control over a situation spiraling wildly out of his grasp. Aris pauses his work, his hand hovering over the broadcast button, his fingers trembling slightly. His face is etched with a mixture of raw anger and a flicker of doubt, the human cost of his actions momentarily weighing on him. He takes a deep, ragged breath, then replies into a makeshift microphone connected to the system, his voice clear and resonant despite the static, imbued with the full weight of his conviction. Chaos? He scoffs, a bitter sound. You call your plan genocide containment? Lena exposed you, Reed. She showed me the truth, and the world deserves to know. His voice gains strength, rising with indignant fury, directly challenging Reed's moral high ground. His voice rising, desperate, laced with a palpable sense of fear and urgency. "You don't know the full extent of this, Thorne. There are forces at play you can't comprehend. This virus, it's a failsafe, a last resort against a far greater threat." His words are a plea, an attempt to justify the unimaginable, to pull Aris back from the brink. Aris scoffs, a bitter, humorless laugh escaping him, echoing faintly in the derelict station. He shakes his head, the notion utterly preposterous. A greater threat? What could be worse than wiping out a city? Acheron is a terror organization, Reed, and you're their accomplice. His voice is filled with unwavering condemnation, cutting through Reed's justifications. With a final, decisive movement, Aris slams his hand down on the broadcast button. A surge of power courses through the old equipment. A torrent of Lena's data, including the activator's code and Acheron's terrifying manifesto, floods into the digital ether, a wave of truth unleashed onto the world. The timer on his phone freezes at its current count, then, with a jarring visual shift, begins to rapidly count down from 0. Not the release of the virus, but the countdown to the network scrambling the broadcast, a desperate last-ditch attempt by Acheron to suppress the truth before it can fully take hold. His voice, now blasting from the radio, is filled with a desperate rage, but also unmistakably tinged with genuine fear, his composure utterly shattered. "No! Thorne, you fool! What have you done?" His scream of despair echoes through the station, a chilling harbinger of the chaos Aris has just unleashed. Aris watches the numbers tick down, a grim satisfaction on his face, mixed with profound exhaustion. He's done it. He's exposed them. But then, a warning light flashes violently on the console, a stark red against the dim lighting. An alarm blares, low and insistent. The network is being compromised. The broadcast, his lifeline to the world, is failing, being systematically choked off by Acheron's immense digital power. His voice, now blasting from the radio, is filled with a desperate rage, but also unmistakably tinged with genuine fear, his composure utterly shattered. "No! Thorne, you fool! What have you done?" His scream of despair echoes through the station, a chilling harbinger of the chaos Aris has just unleashed. Aris watches the numbers tick down, a grim satisfaction on his face, mixed with profound exhaustion. He's done it. He's exposed them. But then, a warning light flashes violently on the console, a stark red against the dim lighting. An alarm blares, low and insistent. The network is being compromised. The broadcast, his lifeline to the world, is failing, being systematically choked off by Acheron's immense digital power. His voice, now blasting from the radio, is filled with a desperate rage, but also unmistakably tinged with genuine fear, his composure utterly shattered. "No! Thorne, you fool! What have you done?" His scream of despair echoes through the station, a chilling harbinger of the chaos Aris has just unleashed. Aris watches the numbers tick down, a grim satisfaction on his face, mixed with profound exhaustion. He's done it. He's exposed them. But then, a warning light flashes violently on the console, a stark red against the dim lighting. An alarm blares, low and insistent. The network is being compromised. The broadcast, his lifeline to the world, is failing, being systematically choked off by Acheron's immense digital power.
The scene opens with a chaotic flurry of fractured news reports flashing across multiple screens in Aris's makeshift broadcast station. The dim light of the pre-dawn hours is overwhelmed by the garish glow of televised panic.
Initial fragments of Lena's data, blurred, pixelated images of the viral strain, cryptic warnings of a genetic marker tied to an unknown threat, are causing a palpable ripple of confusion and alarm across every news channel. Sound bites overlap, panicked reporters, bewildered experts, snippets of official denials. On Aris's phone, still clutched in his hand, the countdown flashes a stark, angry red, nearing 0, a silent, horrifying testament to the urgency of his mission. Aris's desperate broadcast, a raw cry for help, hurled into the digital void, had hit its mark, albeit partially. The initial shock waves, tremors of a terrifying truth, were rippling through the digital realm, causing an uneasy stir. But Acheron's counteroffensive was swift and brutal, a digital tidal wave designed to overwhelm and suppress. They were scrambling the full message, twisting the narrative, and attempting to discredit the source, Aris Thorne himself, before the full horror of their plot could be understood. Suddenly, as if on cue, one of the news channels cuts abruptly to a live press conference. Agent Reed stands at a polished podium, a backdrop of official seals behind him. He looks perfectly composed, his dark suit immaculate, his posture radiating authority. Yet, Aris can see it. A subtle tension in Reed's jaw, a barely perceptible clenching that betrays the immense pressure he's under. Reed begins to speak, his voice calm, authoritative, practiced, a master of public relations in a crisis. His voice is calm, deliberate, authoritative, yet carries an underlying coldness that makes Aris's blood run cold. We understand there have been some unsubstantiated reports circulating. Let me assure the public, these are baseless fear-mongering. The individual responsible, Dr. Aris Thorne, is a known rogue scientist, currently under investigation for serious misconduct. His claims are highly unreliable. His gaze is steady, unwavering, directed straight into the cameras, projecting an image of unflappable control. A stark contrast to the frantic energy in Aris's station. Aris stares at the screen, a surge of helpless fury rising within him, so potent it makes him tremble. He clenches his teeth, his hands balling into fists, then slams one fist down onto the console with a resounding thud, the old equipment groaning in protest. His eyes are wide with a burning indignation, watching Reed's calm, deceptive performance.
His voice is thick with frustration and bitter resentment, a low growl escaping his throat. Liar! He's lying to them! He can feel the impotence, the rage at being smeared, at the truth being twisted so easily. Driven by an urgent need to counter Reed's lies, Aris quickly works to reestablish the connection, his fingers flying across the keys, attempting to push through Acheron's formidable digital blockade. He sweats, strains, cursing under his breath as firewalls rise and connections fail. Finally, against all odds, he manages to get a small portion of Lena's video manifesto through. Just a few grainy, flickering seconds of her desperate, tear-filled plea. On the news channels, the screens momentarily flicker, displaying a grainy, distorted image of Lena, her face a mask of urgency. Her voice, though distorted and crackling, is discernible, piercing through the static. Her voice is strained, raw with emotion, pleading from beyond the grave. Project Genesis. They're planning to. Population control. Hidden timer. Major city name. The words are fragmented, but their meaning is devastatingly clear.
The brief, jarring clip causes an immediate stir in the newsroom. Reporters, initially composed, begin to buzz excitedly, their confusion rapidly turning into a nascent, uneasy suspicion. The clip, though short, is too unsettling to ignore, too specific to be dismissed as mere static. Reed, still on the live broadcast, falters for a moment, his composure slipping. His eyes dart quickly to the side, a flicker of genuine concern and alarm flashing across his face, revealing the depth of his internal conflict. But he quickly regains his composure, his jaw tightening almost imperceptibly. His voice is more forceful now, attempting to regain control of the narrative, the underlying urgency barely contained. As I said, these are unsubstantiated claims from a discredited source. We urge the public to remain calm and rely only on official channels. He ends his statement with a pointed, almost desperate look directly into the camera, a silent plea for compliance. Just as Reed finishes speaking, a new alert flashes violently on Aris's console. A triumphant, unexpected green light. The complete activator code, along with a detailed explanation of its function, the city's specific coordinates for the viral release, and a chilling outline of Acheron's true objectives, has managed to bypass Acheron's filters. It's not mainstream news, not yet, but it's out there, rapidly spreading across encrypted dark web channels and independent news sites, reaching those actively seeking the truth, those who question the official narrative. A grim smile slowly spreads across his face, a potent mixture of utter exhaustion and profound triumph. His voice is a low, relieved whisper. It's out. They can't stop it now. He watches the data surge, a digital tsunami against Acheron's firewalls, knowing he's won this crucial battle. He collapses back in his chair, utterly spent, the adrenaline that had fueled him for hours finally draining away. His relief is immediate, overwhelming, but tragically short-lived. A sudden, incredibly loud bang echoes from the main entrance of the broadcast station, reverberating through the desolate building. It's the sound of splintering wood, of forced entry, the sound of heavy footsteps rapidly approaching, a chilling cadence growing louder, closer. The warning lights on his console flash an angry, urgent red, indicating a direct assault, a breach of his last sanctuary.
The scene opens with a jarring immediacy, still inside the crumbling broadcast station. The air is thick with dust and the acrid smell of burnt electronics. The broadcast console still smoking slightly, a testament to Aris's desperate act. Aris, his face streaked with grime, his clothes torn, is battered but defiant, scrambling through the station's labyrinthine corridors. His movements are fueled by pure, unyielding adrenaline. Behind him, the echoing shouts of Acheron operatives grow louder, their heavy boots pounding on the decaying floorboards. The same cold-faced operative from the internet cafe, his features set in a grim mask of fury, bursts into the main control room, weapon raised. His eyes sweep the empty space, a snarl of frustration twisting his lips as he sees the still-smoking console. Aris had exposed Acheron's vile plot, a truth that shattered their carefully constructed web of lies. But the battle was far from over. The virus's hidden timer continued its inexorable, silent count, a ghost in the machine inching towards zero. And outside, beyond the walls of this derelict station, panic, a secondary contagion, was beginning to grip the city as the fragments of Lena's message slowly, horrifyingly pieced together in the minds of the public. Aris, having slipped through a rarely used back exit, a grimy, rusted fire door, emerges onto a deserted side street.
He races through the pre-dawn gloom, his breath coming in ragged gasps, his legs burning with exertion, but his resolve unwavering. His destination, the city's main research hospital. He knows with absolute certainty that exposing Acheron isn't enough. The only way to truly stop the virus's spread, to truly prevent the catastrophic outcome Lena had warned of, is to synthesize and distribute the broad-spectrum antiviral she had alluded to in her last message. The very compound he'd been working on in secret before his life was torn apart. He pulls out his phone, his fingers slick with sweat, and dials a number from memory. It's a call to a former colleague, Dr. Anya Sharma, a brilliant virologist he still trusted implicitly, a last desperate beacon of hope. His voice is urgent, breathless, a raw edge of desperation in every word. "Anya, it's Aris. Listen to me. I know this sounds insane, but you have to trust me. The Genesis virus, it's real, and it's about to be unleashed in the city." He presses the phone tightly to his ear, listening intently, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm. Her voice on the other end is initially skeptical, tinged with confusion and caution, then rapidly laced with growing alarm as the gravity of his words begins to sink in. "Aris, what are you talking about? The news, they're saying you're a charlatan." Her tone suggests a disbelief that is quickly turning to profound unease. Desperation creeps into his voice, a raw, pleading quality. He can't afford to waste time convincing her. They're lying. Lena left a failsafe, a broad-spectrum antiviral. I have the schematics, the genetic markers. I need access to a BSL-4 lab, Anya. I can synthesize it, but the timer... His voice cracks, betraying the immense pressure. "It's almost at zero. We don't have much time."
Anya is silent for a long moment. The sounds of her own lab, the gentle hum of equipment filling the void. She's weighing her options, the immense risk. She remembers Aris's unwavering dedication, Lena's undeniable brilliance, and the uneasy feeling she'd always had about the CDC's suspiciously swift and official narrative regarding the previous outbreak. A flicker of doubt. Then a spark of scientific curiosity and human compassion ignite within her. Anya, her voice when she finally speaks is firm, clear, a decision made with resolute courage. The old research wing, Section C. It's dormant, but still equipped for high-level containment. Meet me there. A pause, then her voice softens slightly, a genuine concern breaking through her professional demeanor. "And Aris, be careful. The entire city is on high alert." She knows the danger he's in, the danger she's now stepping into. Aris hangs up, a flicker of raw, fragile hope amidst the overwhelming dread. He hails a desperate taxi, waving his arm frantically. The driver, a weary man whose eyes show the strain of the early hour, looks at Aris with suspicion. His disheveled appearance, his breathless urgency. But the promise of a hefty fare overcomes his apprehension as Aris demands to be taken to the hospital, emphasizing the urgency. As the taxi weaves through the increasingly congested streets, already choked with early morning traffic despite the hour, news alerts flash ominously on the digital billboards that light up the urban landscape. Confirmation reports of viral threat. Stay calm. Reed's face, meticulously composed, appears on a breaking news report, urging calm and, with practiced ease, dismissing the rumors as baseless hysteria. Muttering to himself, his eyes fixed on Reed's face on a nearby digital screen, a bitter contempt curling his lips. "You can't stop it, Reed. Not anymore." He watches the projected image, a silent defiance in his gaze. The truth is out, and it's a fire that can't be contained by PR campaigns.
Suddenly, the taxi screeches to a jarring halt, throwing Aris forward. Ahead, the road is blocked by a cordon of police cars, their blue and red lights flashing wildly, painting the street in an eerie, pulsating glow. A heavily armed tactical unit is establishing a perimeter, their movements precise and intimidating. The air crackles with tension, the distant wail of sirens now closer, more urgent. Agent Reed steps out of one of the black SUVs, his figure silhouetted against the flashing lights. His eyes scan the street, his expression grim and utterly resolute, a man on a mission he believes in, no matter the cost. Into a bullhorn, his voice amplified and distorted, echoing across the street, piercing the pre-dawn silence. "Dr. Thorne, this is your last chance. Stand down. We can still prevent widespread panic." His voice is a desperate plea for order, for control, before the city descends into chaos. He genuinely believes he's saving lives, even if it means sacrificing Aris. His eyes lock with Reed's, a fierce, defiant grin spreading across his grimy face, even as he feels the crushing weight of the ticking clock pressing down on him, each second an eternity. "Panic is better than extinction, Reed, and I'm not standing down." His voice is raw, fueled by a righteous fury, a willingness to fight to the bitter end. Without another word, Aris shoves open the taxi door with a desperate lunge, ignoring the startled driver. He bolts, his worn trench coat flapping behind him, disappearing into the maze of dark, narrow side streets and flickering shadows, leaving Reed and the tactical unit momentarily stunned, caught off guard by his sudden, desperate defiance.
The scene opens with a tense, almost suffocating atmosphere inside the old research wing of the hospital. The fluorescent lights hum with a low, oppressive drone, reflecting off sterile surfaces. The air is thick with the sterile scent of chemicals, antiseptics, reagents, and the faint, unsettling tang of something new, something biological. Dr. Anya Sharma, mid-40s, her normally meticulous hair slightly disheveled, works feverishly at a lab console, her movements quick, precise, and utterly focused. Her brow is furrowed in intense concentration, a thin sheen of sweat on her forehead. Beside her, Aris, his face pale and strained, etched deep with exhaustion and the physical toll of his escape, assists her. His movements, though weary, are precise, driven by a desperate urgency. On a small digital display on Aris's phone, now perched precariously on a beaker, the timer flashes critically low. Mere minutes remain until the virus's predetermined release. The clock was not just ticking, it was screaming, its silent alarm echoing the rapidly dwindling hope for millions. With Acheron's operatives closing in and the virus's 0 hour mere moments away, Aris and Anya stood as humanity's last hope, working against an impossible deadline, two brilliant minds pitted against a global conspiracy. Every second was precious, every calculation a matter of life and death. Anya, her eyes fixed intently on the eyepiece of a microscope, carefully injects a synthesized compound into a petri dish containing a viral culture. Her breath hitches, then she gasps aloud, a sound of pure, unadulterated relief. A look of triumph mixed with profound, almost tearful relief spreads across her face, momentarily erasing the lines of stress. Her shoulders sag slightly with the release of tension. Anya, her voice is breathless, exhilarated, a whisper of awe and joy. "Aris, it's working! The broad-spectrum neutralizer! It's stabilizing the viral load! It suppresses the genetic marker!" She turns to him, her eyes shining with desperate hope, a stark contrast to the grim reality outside the lab. Aris, a wave of profound relief washes over him, so potent it almost makes his knees buckle, but it is quickly replaced by grim determination. His eyes harden, focusing on the next terrifying hurdle. We need to mass produce it, get it into the city's water supply, a targeted aerosol dispersal. It's the only way to reach everyone in time. His voice is firm, decisive, already planning the impossible logistics.
Suddenly, with a jarring, thunderous crash, the lab door bursts open, splintering inward from a powerful impact. Agent Reed stands in the doorway, his impeccable suit now slightly rumpled, his face a complex tableau of desperation and grim resolve. He's flanked by several Acheron operatives, their faces cold, their weapons raised and ready. And, to Aris's surprise, a few bewildered-looking police officers caught unknowingly in a far larger, darker conflict. Reed's eyes sweep the lab, taking in the scene, the active console, the buzzing equipment, and then his gaze falls upon the vials of neutralizer. His eyes widen infinitesimally, a flicker of shock and understanding crossing his features as he comprehends what they've achieved. His voice is strained, laced with a desperate plea that betrays his internal conflict. "Thorne! Anya! Stop this! You're creating more panic! We can contain this quietly!" He gestures vaguely, as if the impending annihilation could be a contained secret, his words betraying the depth of Acheron's indoctrination. He instinctively steps forward, shielding Anya and the precious research with his body. His voice is firm, unwavering, resonating with conviction. "Quietly? You mean let millions die for your stability?" He scoffs, a sound of utter contempt. "This is the only way, Reed. This is the cure." His eyes burn with a righteous fury, challenging Reed to face the truth. Stepping forward, her voice filled with unyielding conviction, her fear giving way to a fierce resolve. "He's right, Agent Reed. This isn't a weapon. It's an antidote. We can save them." Her gaze is unwavering, daring Reed to deny the life-saving potential before him. Reed's eyes dart frantically between Aris, Anya, and the silent, menacing Acheron operatives behind him. He sees the operatives subtly readying their weapons, their fingers tightening on the triggers, preparing for the inevitable. A profound, almost agonizing flash of regret, of deep internal conflict crosses his face. The burden of his past choices, the weight of his orders, clashing with the undeniable truth of the antidote. He hesitates, his jaw tight. His voice is a pained whisper, filled with a raw, agonizing indecision. I can't let you do this. My orders." He clenches his fists, torn between his duty and his conscience. Just then, the lead Acheron operative, his face a mask of cold fury, seeing Reed's crucial hesitation, shoves past him with brutal force, aiming his weapon directly at Aris. Reed reacts instinctively, his years of tactical training kicking in, even against his own side. He shoves the operative violently, diverting his aim, just as a shot rings out, deafening in the enclosed space, striking the wall near Aris's head with a sickening thud, sending plaster dust scattering. Screaming, her voice high-pitched with terror and alarm, "Aris!" Chaos erupts in the lab. The Acheron operatives, now unconstrained, open fire, bullets tearing through equipment, shattering glass. Reed, his internal conflict finally resolved, now fully committed, draws his own weapon with lightning speed, firing at the Acheron operatives, his movements fluid and deadly. He moves to protect Aris and Anya, laying down suppressing fire, his face grim, his past loyalties shattered in the face of a greater moral imperative. The few police officers, caught in the terrifying crossfire, look utterly bewildered, uncertain who to trust, where to aim. Shouting, his voice raw with a grim determination as he fires, covering their escape. "Get out of here! Disperse the antidote! I'll buy you time!"
His eyes meet Aris's, a silent message of sacrifice and defiance passing between them. Aris, his eyes meet Reed's, a silent understanding passing between them, deeper than any words. A flicker of profound gratitude, despite everything they'd been through, despite their history, crosses his face. Thank you, Reed. He knows this is likely a suicide mission for Reed, a final act of redemption. Aris, moving with renewed, desperate speed, grabs the vials of neutralizer and a portable dispersal unit that Anya quickly, expertly hands him. He and Anya scramble towards a hidden service tunnel, its entrance obscured behind a large, forgotten supply cabinet. Bullets fly around them, sparking off metal and tearing into the lab's equipment. Reed, now fighting alongside them, a lone warrior against Acheron, lays down suppressing fire, his face grim, his past loyalties irrevocably shattered by the choice he has made.
The scene opens on a frantic, desperate dash through the city's dark, echoing maintenance tunnels. The air is stale and heavy with the smell of damp earth and forgotten infrastructure. Aris, his muscles screaming in protest, carries the bulky dispersal unit, its weight pressing down on his already exhausted frame. He runs alongside Anya, her face streaked with grime and sweat, her breath coming in ragged gasps, but her eyes burning with an unyielding determination. The sound of distant sirens above them, a frantic, urgent wail, mixes with the growing murmur of panic from the streets above, a low, unsettling hum of a city on the brink. On Aris's phone, clutched tightly in his hand, the digital timer blinks 001, an agonizing final second. The clock had run out. The hidden timer, the insidious countdown embedded within the very genetic code of the virus, had reached its end. Above them, in the sprawling, oblivious expanse of the metropolis, the city held its breath, unaware of the silent, invisible war being fought in its shadowy underbelly for its very survival, for its future. Aris and Anya burst into a massive cavernous chamber, the heart of the city's complex air filtration system, a central ventilation shaft stretching upwards into unseen heights. It's the perfect point for dispersal, a vast lung through which the antidote can reach every inhabitant. Aris quickly connects the dispersal unit to a series of pipes and vents, his hands shaking slightly with adrenaline and profound fatigue, but moving with a practiced, desperate speed. Beside him, Anya types rapidly on a nearby console, her fingers flying across the keys as she overrides the city's intricate air filtration system, diverting its powerful currents to disperse the neutralizer. Anya, her voice is strained, breathless, but filled with a triumphant exhilaration. Override complete! We have 5 minutes of concentrated dispersal before they re-establish control. Get it in, Aris! Her eyes, wide and intense, urge him on, her faith in him unwavering. Aris doesn't hesitate. He activates the dispersal unit with a final, decisive push of a button. A fine, almost invisible mist begins to flow into the massive ventilation shaft, shimmering faintly in the dim light. It's immediately caught by the powerful air currents, destined to reach every corner of the city, an unseen wave of salvation. He watches it go, a profound, overwhelming sense of relief washing over him, so potent it nearly brings him to his knees. He's done it. He's done everything he can. The city has a fighting chance. Suddenly, the distant sound of gunfire and shouting intensifies, growing louder, closer, echoing menacingly through the tunnels. Acheron operatives, having finally broken through Reed's desperate, valiant resistance, are closing in, their fury palpable. Reed's desperate sacrifice had bought them precious minutes, but not enough to escape, not enough to disappear without a trace.
His voice, raw and filled with uncontained rage, echoes menacingly through the tunnels. "Thorne, Anya, it's over." Their footsteps pound closer, a grim, inevitable cadence. Aris looks at Anya, a silent understanding passing between them, a shared acknowledgement of their success and the likely cost. They've done their part. They've given the city a fighting chance, a hope that was nearly extinguished. His voice is firm, defiant, a quiet strength in the face of overwhelming odds. It's not over until the last breath, is it? A faint, weary smile touches his lips, a testament to his indomitable spirit. He and Anya brace themselves just as the operatives burst into the chamber, their weapons raised, their faces contorted with furious determination. They are immediately surrounded, trapped. The lead Acheron operative, his face a mask of cold fury, approaches Aris, his weapon raised, his eyes burning with vengeful triumph. "You think you've won, Thorne? You've only unleashed chaos." His voice is a low snarl, dripping with contempt. A grim smile plays on his lips, a mix of exhaustion and profound, quiet triumph. He looks at Anya, then back at the operative, his eyes burning with defiance. Chaos is a small price to pay for truth. He pauses, letting his next words sink in, a final victorious blow. And the antidote is already flowing. His gaze is steady, unwavering, letting the full weight of his success crush the operative's fleeting victory. The operative's eyes widen in pure disbelief and unadulterated rage, his jaw dropping slightly. He lowers his weapon slightly, momentarily stunned, paralyzed by the shocking realization that Aris has succeeded. Anya, seeing her chance, lunges for a nearby console with a surge of renewed energy, initiating a final desperate system purge, wiping and erasing all traces of their activity, denying Acheron any further intelligence, any means of tracking the antidote or their methods. The console sparks, then goes dark. Outside, above ground, the city begins to stir, unaware of the quiet salvation spreading through its air. On news channels, the initial panic slowly, inexplicably, gives way to confusion, then a cautious hope. Reports begin to trickle in, a sudden inexplicable sense of well-being, a fading of the initial anxiety, a collective sigh of relief. And then the confirmation. Reed, battered but miraculously alive, is found by first responders, his face grim but resolute. His story, though fragmented and shocking, slowly, painstakingly, begins to confirm Aris's claims, corroborating the impossible truth he had fought so desperately to reveal.
Back in the dark, suffocating tunnels, the Acheron operatives, now fully realizing the extent of Aris's success, are filled with a desperate, impotent rage. Their mission is compromised, irrevocably shattered. The antidote is out, spreading with every breath taken. Aris and Anya, though now captured, their hands bound, look at each other, a shared, silent nod of understanding passing between them. They are prisoners, but they know they have succeeded. The city is saved. The 11th hour had passed. The city had faced the abyss, and, through the courage of a disgraced scientist and his unwavering allies, had pulled back from the brink of annihilation. The truth, once a dangerous secret fiercely guarded by powerful shadows, was now unleashed, shattering the illusions of stability and exposing the darkness that lurked beneath society's fragile surface.
The fight against Acheron would undoubtedly continue, a long and arduous battle for justice. But for now, humanity had been given a second chance. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling journey through the 11th Hour Protocol. We hope you were on the edge of your seat with every twist and turn, every desperate gamble. If you enjoyed this series, please give this video a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let us know in the comments what other dark mysteries you'd like us to explore in future episodes of X Mystic Murmurs. And remember, subscribe to X Mystic Murmurs for more gripping tales from the shadows. Until next time, stay vigilant and never stop questioning what truly lurks beneath the surface.